This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete and they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition.
The WNBA has lost control of the Caitlin Clark hate, and it's spiraling fast. What started as physical play has now become dangerous targeting, on-court attacks, online abuse, players taking cheap shots with no consequences, and the league. They're just letting it happen.
Is anybody on this team gonna stand up for Caitlin Clark? JC Sheldon grabbing Caitlin Clark all game, clawing at her. It's like tonight was a brawl, folks. Tonight was a brawl, and I'm sitting there, I'm like...
Game after game, Clark is the target. Her coach is furious. NBA stars are speaking out. Even the media is now asking if the WNBA has completely lost control. And with every hit, every missed call, the league's reputation takes another blow. Fans are turning on the WNBA. Sponsors are watching closely. And here's the scary part. If this keeps going, it could destroy everything Caitlin Clark has built for the league. So, how did it get this bad? And can the WNBA even stop it now? Let's break it all down.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Clark, guard for the Indiana Fever.
Gets bumped, will take, and hit from 3.
This is no longer about one game. It's not about one fight. The WNBA's Caitlin Clark problem is a pattern, and everyone can see it.
Shady McCoy, Caitlin Clark, does she have a target on her back?
Yes, she does, but that's okay. You know, it's funny, man. I think when we talk about women's basketball, it's like we separate it from other sports, right? From football, from basketball, NBA, and we shouldn't. She come in the league with so much hype, and she deserves it.
The targeting of Clark started in her first season, but now it's reached a dangerous new level. Just look at the numbers. Over 17% of all flagrant fouls this season committed against Caitlin Clark.
17% of the WNBA's flagrant fouls this season have been committed against Caitlin Clark.
Hey!
Ocho.
Yes, sir.
17% of the WNBA flagrant fouls have been committed against Clark. The Chicago Sky were responsible for 80% of the flagrant fouls committed against Clark. But you know what, Ocho? It's the great white hype. There's nothing, Shannon. You just want to support that white girl. She busting y'all ass. Hey, there were some women. I ain't gonna call y'all name. Y'all had a lot to say. Y'all even tagged me. Why y'all tagging?
And that's only what's been called. In game after game, Clark is getting hacked, grabbed, shoved. And more often than not, the referees let it go. It's not just bad officiating, it's a league-wide failure. Indiana Fever coach Stephanie White said it best. This has been happening all season long. It's a league-wide issue.
What was going on with the chip in his there, and what explanation were you given for the tech that you got?
I'll take the official questions. There wasn't an explanation for the tech that she got. You know, I think it was pretty obvious that stuff was brewing, right? When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game. It's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition.
And when coaches are calling out the league in post-game interviews, you know something is seriously wrong. Because this isn't just physical basketball anymore, it's hate. The hate for Caitlin Clark is now the biggest story in the WNBA, and it's growing out of control. On-court attacks like the recent eye poke and body check, players targeting Clark game after game, and online, the abuse is just as bad. The WNBA's leadership has failed to stop it. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, silent. The referees, losing control of the games. And now, it's turning into a public relations disaster. Fans are calling the league a circus. NBA stars are speaking out. Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Paul George, all defending Clark and criticizing what's happening.
You know, like, even in my Minnesota days, man, I've always taken a loyalty to all the players that's on the team. And yeah, man, it helps confidence, it's helped continuity. You know, and then too, for that to be your best player, you gotta protect the best player.
And fans are starting to lose faith in the league. But here's where it gets even worse, because the WNBA's failure to act forced Indiana Fever players to take matters into their own hands. Sophie Cunningham has now stepped in as Clark's enforcer. Game after game, Cunningham is delivering a message to the rest of the league. Touch Clark and deal with me. And it's working, but it's also escalating the spectacle.
And eventually, Sophie Cunningham had enough. Oh yeah. Sophie Cunningham had enough. Folks, shout out to Sophie Cunningham. We wanted somebody like this that said, I'm tired of this. I'm trying to step up. It's time to step up. We're not going to get punked anymore. We're not going to get pushed around anymore. We're not going to get treated like a little sister anymore, like a little brother anymore. We are going to start being the ones that say, you know what? We're not going to start the fight, but we damn sure will finish the fight.
Instead of basketball, we're seeing brawls. Headlines about fights, ejections, chaos. And fans are tuning in, not for the sport, but for the drama. This is not sustainable. The league's image is being damaged. The story is no longer about the talent on the court. It's about the league's failure to protect its biggest star. And here's the part the WNBA should really fear: ratings. When Caitlin Clark missed 5 games, ratings tanked. Attendance dropped. Sponsors noticed. Owners are now terrified. Another injury to Clark could undo everything the league has built. And with every cheap shot, every missed call, the risk gets higher.
Right? If you look at this, the viewership, right? People ain't just watching WNBA just to watch it. They're watching it because of Caitlin Clark.
Yes, sir.
And I'm guilty of it because I'm one of them guys. Oh, is Caitlin playing today? I'm watching it. Oh, she's hurt? I'm not even tuning in.
But the league's failure is doing more than hurting ratings. It's dividing the fans. The WNBA's refusal to fix the officiating has fueled a culture war. Now, it's not just Fever fans against other teams. It's Caitlin Clark fans against the WNBA itself. And that's the worst possible outcome, because when your biggest fan base is rooting against the league, you have a real problem. The WNBA has created this problem, and now they may not be able to stop it. The targeting of Caitlin Clark is no longer just a story inside the league. It's become a national conversation. Media, fans, NBA stars, everyone is watching how the league handles this. And right now, they're not handling it at all. The hate is only getting worse. Every game adds fuel to the fire. And with each cheap shot, each no call, more fans turn against the league. More voices speak out, and the WNBA's reputation takes another hit. The truth is simple. The league needs Caitlin Clark. Without her, ratings drop, attendance drops. The entire business of the WNBA is tied to her success. But if the league continues to let this hate spiral out of control, they risk losing everything she's built. And here's the scary part. If Clark gets injured, if another attack sidelines her, the damage to the WNBA could be permanent. So now the question isn't whether the league has lost control of the Caitlin Clark hate. They already have. The real question is, can they take it back before it's too late?
All right, you guys, we need to talk. I just finished the Indiana Fever versus Connecticut Sun game. That was a wild one. That was so unexpected. Everything got spicy. Everything got negative.
Nobody expected this. What should have been a heated WNBA game exploded into one of the wildest brawls of the season.
So yesterday, the Indiana Fever played the Connecticut Sun. It was a basketball game, but the basketball of it got way overshadowed by other elements.
It all started when Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark took a brutal eye poke from JC Sheldon. But instead of settling down, the game spiraled out of control. Sophie Cunningham stormed in, launching a shocking attack on Sheldon in the final seconds. What happened next stunned everyone. Multiple players were thrown out. Referees faced historic fines.
Wow, is Baber going to stay in this game?
And now the entire league is under fire. Some are calling it the ugliest moment of the season. Others say it's just the beginning. What really went down on that court? And why is the WNBA handing out its harshest penalties ever? Let's break it all down.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Clark, guard for the Indiana Fever.
Gets bumped, will take, and
The Indiana Fever had come into this game fired up. They were battling through a tough stretch of the season, and Caitlin Clark had been taking more hits than any rookie should have to endure. Opponents were getting physical, some would say too physical. Tensions were already high when the Fever hit the court. The first few minutes of the game set the tone. Hard fouls, trash talk, players bumping each other after whistles. You could feel the frustration building, and Caitlin Clark was right in the middle of it all. The league's biggest star targeted again, but nobody saw what was about to happen next. Midway through the game, in a tense moment, JC Sheldon got tangled with Caitlin Clark. Suddenly, Sheldon reached out and poked Clark in the eye. The crowd gasped. Clark winced in pain, clearly shaken. Cameras caught her wiping her eye as she tried to shake it off.
I think he did face. That's what Clark didn't like.
But this was no ordinary foul. Fans knew it, the players knew it, and the energy in the arena instantly shifted.
As you guys can see here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabrey, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.
Indiana's Marina Mabrey didn't hesitate. She charged in and bumped Sheldon, letting her know the Fever weren't going to back down. The officials quickly stepped in, trying to regain control, but the mood had already changed.
Caitlin Clark in this particular game kept complaining that she was like scratching her arm and complained to the officials about it. And honestly, the entire game, they were jawing at each other, they were chirping at each other. Marina Mabrey always on the side, coming to her teammates' defense, because we all know Marina Mabrey. But really, the boiling point was Sophie Cunningham's hard foul on JC Sheldon, and I truly think that this was a message that she was sending to the leagues, to the officiating, just like to everybody, because it is, if you are watching any of these games, you are seeing that there is a disparity in the way that it's being officiated, and the Indiana Fever are held to a standard that no other team is held to.
From that point on, every possession felt like it could ignite another fight. With less than a minute to play, things finally boiled over. JC Sheldon drove hard to the rim for a layup, but before she could finish, Sophie Cunningham came flying in and absolutely took her down.
Sheldon comes up with the steal. Sheldon goes coast to coast. And here's we got another.
It wasn't subtle. Cunningham's arms were up. Her body slammed Sheldon to the floor. The entire arena erupted.
Trash talk had been happening everywhere. Technicals, flagrants, all this stuff had been happening. And as JC Sheldon was running down the court for a fast break layup, Sophie Cunningham grabs her and hard fouls her. I think this was Sophie. This was the last 46 seconds of the game. They were up by a lot, so I think it's a possibility that Sophie was trying to send a message to the league, to the officiating, to everybody that, listen, like, the Indiana Fever have had enough, and this is what's going to happen.
Players sprinted toward the scene. Coaches were screaming. Fans were on their feet, some cheering, some shouting in disbelief. It looked more like a boxing match than a basketball game.
Let me see a combo, though. Ooh.
The referees scrambled to get between the players. After several chaotic minutes, they made their call. Sophie Cunningham, JC Sheldon, and Lindsay Allen were all ejected from the game.
Wow, is Mabrey going to stay in this game?
The crowd was stunned. 3 players out, and plenty of others could have been tossed too. Social media exploded. Fans called it one of the dirtiest moments in recent memory. Clips of the brawl spread instantly across TikTok and X. One post even joked, might need to replace the hardwood with a boxing ring after this one. But the fallout was just getting started. The WNBA reviewed the game footage and acted quickly.
Now after this, you guys, of course, the referees are going to review the play because that's a lot of contact going on right there. That's a lot of unnecessary contact. That's a lot of non-basketball contact. happening during this play, right? So the 3 referees that I like to say, they got them straight out of Sephora, because I don't think these referees have ever refereed a professional basketball game in their life. They took these referees, they were at the monitor, they looked at it for, I'm not even exaggerating, you guys, like 15 minutes. 15 minutes they are watching this play over and over. They are...
Referee Blanca Burns was hit with the harshest penalty the league has ever handed out, a massive fine and public criticism for losing control of the game. Cunningham and Sheldon were both fined and suspended. Other players involved in the chaos also received penalties. And the league's reputation now under fire from all sides. Some fans say the league waited too long to step in. Others argue the players had no choice but to fight back after weeks of uncalled fouls and rising tensions, especially with Caitlin Clark getting targeted game after game. Even commentators are split. One ESPN analyst said, "The WNBA can't afford another incident like this. It's making headlines for the wrong reasons." But the bigger question now, has the league truly lost control? Because one thing's for sure, with Caitlin Clark still taking heat every week and players like Sophie Cunningham ready to fight back, this won't be the last time we see fireworks on the court. So after all this, where does the WNBA go from here? Fans are still arguing about what really caused this fight. Was it the refs losing control, players going too far, or is it simply the result of a league that hasn't done enough to protect its biggest star, Caitlin Clark? One thing is clear, tensions are still running high, and the next matchup between these teams, it's already being called a must-watch game. Will the players tone it down, or will we see another explosion on the court? And how will the league respond if this happens again? Because if the WNBA can't stop the targeting of Caitlin Clark, and if players like Sophie Cunningham keep taking matters into their own hands, this season might just be getting started. Stay tuned.